I am Captain Logan, and this is day 218 of Spawn Year. This arc is moving at about the same pace as my costume is transforming. Each time I drink Mountain Dew, I look a little bit more like Spawn. And each time I read an issue of this comic book, a little bit more happens in the story. It's a serialized narrative, of course, but when I say little, I mean very, very little. At least with the costume, I can kind of tell where it's going and why I should care. Oh no, I'm turning into this thing that's been the bane of my existence all year. This book is just a bunch of stuff that happens, and not even any exciting or fun or cool stuff on its own. Maybe when I know more about Dawn and why she's so fixated on Max, or what Spawn's interest is in Ab and Zab, those goofball demons who summoned Urizen who Spawn finds again here, I'll start enjoying this. But this arc could have started here. Nothing set up in that first part was necessary to pick this up and perfectly follow it. This meandering and dull storytelling is such a far cry from Hogwin's Billy Kincaid epic that if his name wasn't on it, I'd buy McFarlane writing it on his own. Spawn is doing random things without explanation. He's not grounding the story in his own human emotions and desires. What does Spawn want? I know what Sam and Twitch want. They're trying to find Twitch's son Max, but that's not a very enticing mystery since I know where Max is and we still have no definitive proof that he's in any danger. Max sees Dawn with another guy. He gets jealous. Dawn swears the other guy is just a friend. Dawn says she wants to tell Max something which seems ominous and potentially juicy, but then she just kisses him and we're still left wondering. From the fishnets and the 8-ball earring, not to mention the supervillain goggles, I'm 98% positive this girl is bad news. If I'm right, Hogwin is stringing me along. If she's not bad news, then who cares? I guess I'm supposed to be invested in Max because I'm invested in Twitch, but so far he's a two-dimensional, stereotypical, angsty teenager afraid to go home to his dysfunctional family. Much of the problem is in all the blatant stalling. 2 full pages of atmospheric Spawn on rooftop panels that do nothing to advance the narrative with typical, meaningless, melodramatic narration like, Spawn gazes into the night, and the night gazes back. I should start writing these critiques like that. Captain Logan peers into the emptiness of white-lined notebook pages, and the notebook peers back. What does that mean? I do really like the opening scene where Sam makes a Spawn signal with a flashlight and Spawn freaks Sam and Twitch out by actually showing up. They ask for his help finding Max. It's cool to see them all finally working together like this, but it's no wonder crime is so rampant in New York if Twitch has the whole force looking for him and they can't locate a kid standing right out in the open in a public park and busy metropolitan street corners. The comic has no sense of focus or organization. Subplots are one thing, but why do we need 2 pages of Zab and Ab trying to start a satanic cult? That does nothing but reintroduce us to these characters, and it's not even how Spawn finds them. Later he just shows up in front of them while they're walking down the street. Though it is pretty funny seeing a guy wearing baseball pajamas standing inside the word Satan. There's something you don't see every day. There's also a 2-page confrontation between Spawn and Simon Pure, who does that 80s cartoon villain thing of attacking, delivering a cryptic and rehearsed speech, then disappearing right after he says, "We shall meet again." He calls it a warning. I guess heaven's pissed just like hell is. There's a creepy communion scene where people drink real blood and their eyeballs roll back in their heads. No idea what that's about, but I'd wager it's related to the dead bodies hanging in front of police headquarters at the end. And then the most blatant debate about Christianity ever in a Spawn comic so far. Usually these books are really broad and vague about real-life religion. just going with the Bible got everything wrong and then making up its own mythology very loosely based on the most well-known and obvious biblical iconography, but never getting into the complicated stuff so as not to appear anti-Christian and alienating religious readers who might enjoy Spawn as pure fantasy. Twitch tells Sam he's never subscribed to Christianity, regardless of all the supernatural experiences they've had, because he can't respect a God who would sacrifice his own son. As a father, he says, he'd let mankind rot before seeing his flesh and blood crucified to a tree. This is murky territory for a Spawn comic, because the series has been so ambiguous about what and who God is, we don't even know how Jesus fits into this universe. If Jesus died for mankind's sins, why are heaven and hell dividing souls equally? You know, when the book isn't ignoring that part. A definitive, concrete mythology with a plain set of rules could have been developed for this book, and then those spiritual questions could be thoughtfully handled in a fictional context. Sam, who claims he does believe in God, could deliver a fresh, opposing perspective to Twitch's view, but he simply shrugs his shoulders and expresses frustration with the phrase, "God works in mysterious ways," as an excuse for so many unanswered questions about why God lets bad things happen. The scene is ultimately less about critiquing or discussing Christian beliefs, and more about establishing Twitch's love for his son, which would, again, be more effective if the stakes of his disappearance were apparent. I'll be interested to see how much of what I've read so far will prove crucial at all in digesting the third part of this story. Signed, Captain Logan.